Hi, welcome back to EPG. I am Greg, your host. Today we're going to talk about what Bald and Bankrupt got right on his little trip down to Peru as he was making his way to Venezuela. For those that have seen my previous video about this topic, about what he got wrong, just know that I've learned my lesson internet and I will never say anything controversial again. I'm just kidding. That's not who I am. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. I'm a big fan of his channel. He always, has a way to just kind of, not in a bad way, but insert himself into where he goes. And it's, really great seeing him interact with people, just out of the blue. As a very introverted person, it's good to see somebody just get out there and mix it up. I had to do this when I was, traveling a lot, and, it's good to see. So if you haven't seen his video, go ahead and watch it. But yeah, so some of the things that he got right when he was in Peru, probably the biggest one is kind of the abject poverty that people are in there. And it's not really it's not their fault, really, about the, poverty. It really is nobody's fault about the poverty. There's kind of like a idea in the United States that all you need to do is work super hard and then you can just kind of, rise up in your station. But that's not true in a lot of places, and some places, even the US. But that being said, I had a very long conversation with somebody when I was in Peru about, the poverty that's there. And her job, the person I was talking to, she was a marketing manager for a large market research company in Peru. And she broke it down for me that in Peru, and as I saw in a lot of countries, not just in South America or Latin America, but in Asia, some parts in, Central and Southern Europe and the Balkans and stuff like that. While the ratios aren't all the same, the kind of idea is. But she said in Peru that it's a pyramid. The socioeconomic ladder is a pyramid with the top 5% at the top, the middle 10% in the middle, and the lower 85% at the bottom. And she said that the top 5%, those were the families in Peru that owned the banks, that owned the supermarkets, that owned the miners, that owned the oil output, things like that. So those people, they had 97% of the wealth of the country. And that's billions and billions and billions of dollars, basically. So the next 10%, those were the executives of those companies. They were the doctors, they were the lawyers, they were the kind of executives, the heads of smaller companies, not like the bigger companies, that the upper 5% own, but, like that. And they owned 2% of the wealth. So there was a huge disparity there. And then the bottom, 85% of the population there owns about 1% of the wealth. And also in that 85%, about 45% of that population are barely literate, and then 40% are illiterate. So this really came to a point when I was there, when I saw in the elections that for the people that were running for office, they had their names and they had their parties and stuff, but they also had little symbols next to them. So one was a video game controller. Pedro Castillo, the ousted president of Peru, he had, I believe it was either like a pencil and paper or a paintbrush or something that was next to his name because people couldn't read. So when they'd be sent to the polls to vote for somebody, they'd say, vote for the pencil or vote for the video game controller because they know what that is. The second part that Bald and Bankrupt got right on his little trip to Peru was just kind of the jovial nature of people in small villages and, stuff like that. In the more kind of touristy areas like Lima, Cusco, kind of around the Sacred Valley area, a lot of people, they're used to seeing tourists and it's just like, yeah, hey, what's going on? But in those smaller villages, it really makes people's day if you're there because, they've probably never seen anything like you before. And they probably won't again, for a very long time. But yeah, they were very hospitable. They were very nice. They shared a lot, whether it was food or whether it was drink or stories. But yeah, no, it's that communal nature that seems to be that we're losing out on in our kind of modern world. is that especially in like remote regions, like when he was going down, like when Bald and Bankrupt was going down the Amazon, you can't really expect the government to come help if you get in trouble. So you really need to depend on your neighbor. And when people visit, they become neighbors, they become friends. So it's really, yeah, it was good to see. And, it really makes me miss Peru a whole lot. So anyway, that's what Bald and Bankrupt got right in his, trip around Peru. So I want to thank you very much for your time. Get out there.